my chair was on a roll. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry if I'm looking a bit messy today, I don't even know. Unless you think maybe I look messy every day, who knows? Anyway, so today I'm going to have a discussion, a question I guess, or my opinion on something. Because this wasn't a planned discussion. Sometimes I think ahead and think, yes, I want to talk about this. This just cropped up. Yesterday I made a video talking about the Spectacular Now. I reviewed it and talked about it a bit if you want to see that. It's the previous video. But yeah, so I basically said in that video that I think if the soundtrack would have been little better for me personally, I would have enjoyed the movie a little bit more. For example, Perks Being Wallflower. I love the soundtrack to that movie, which made me fall in love with the movie so much more. Which then got me to thinking, how important is a movie's soundtrack? Now, not the score. This is just soundtrack as in songs that I guess are already songs by artists and stuff, not necessarily the score, because I think the score is a whole other thing of importance of life. Scores, I think, are so important and do a whole other job. So yeah, without just the score, which is just more like the instrumental stuff and bits and bobs here and there, if you don't know, but just like the soundtrack, the songs in the film and the music and stuff, I have realised, thinking about this yesterday when I made the video, this is what got my brain a-thinking. I think that I personally fall in love with movies when I really like the soundtrack. I can pretty much say that. For example, the first time when I watched Gatsby, I honestly fell completely in love with that film, and I adore the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. I think the music, when, for me, an amazing scene, or like I can't believe my eyes scene, is always when a really great song is on. And that's always a moment that really brings me in and captures me. And so I think for me personally, soundtracks are so important in films. If I love the soundtrack, I fall in love with the film. I don't just enjoy the film, I love it. Like I say, Perks Being a Wallflower, it has some amazing moments when there's a song on and there's a soundtrack. And it's only then when you start paying attention to those things, I'm like, oh, I love this moment. But then I think, oh, but it's because as well, I love this song. Even if it's a song I haven't heard before, like it might be a new song to me, but I love it with that moment. If you can find a song that fits in really well with a movie's moment, I think it just does well. Let me think, what else? I haven't planned what I'm going to say, so whoever knows. But I'm trying to think of another movie with a soundtrack that I adore. About a Boy, for example, is one of my favourite kind of movies. I've watched it for years, I grew up watching it, and I love the soundtrack, I always have, and it's by a Badly Drawn Boy, and I actually have that soundtrack, and I really like that. And that's, I think, something else that's always kind of helped me love that movie more. And of course, Disney movies, I love the songs. But speaking of Disney movies, the Let It Go scene in Frozen, that scene just had me like mesmerised, because I just thought it was so, that to me is the scene in that movie that blows me away. And that's kind of different because the songs are written for the movie. So I guess that is a little bit different, whereas sometimes you've just got a song in there and it's just a song that's already existed and it's in a movie, but it just fits in really nicely. For example, I really like the movie One Day. I know these are all kind of girly movies, but I'm trying to think, I can't think of many movies that have a soundtrack off the top of my head. But yeah, I really like the movie One Day, and that's got a lot of songs in it that I didn't know beforehand. And they're only subtle, like literally little subtle songs. It's not even like a big song, it's just little subtle moments, and I'm like, oh, after watching it so many times, like, oh, I really like that song, what is that? And I then really like that moment, and it brings me closer to the film. I don't know, is that weird? But yeah, definitely when I saw Gatsby, that was a big thing for me, and Perks Being a Wallflower. Those two movies I loved Gatsby was last year, Perks Being a Wallflower was the year before, but those two movies that I really fell in love with straight away, with the soundtrack being a main part of that. Another one is Moulin Rouge. When I was younger, Moulin Rouge was one of my favourite movies, and of course that's a musical, so come on, it's going to be the songs. But some of the songs are songs that have already, you know, like Roxanne's in that film, and that's of course already a song, but they sing it in the movie, and I just loved that. And I think the songs were, I mean, like I say, it's a musical, so obviously it's going to be, the song's going to be a main part of that film, but that to me is something that brought me that film, and loving that film was the soundtrack. I then bought the soundtrack, so I don't know whether my love for the musics in films comes from that, I don't know. But yeah, I've decided, thinking about it, I always love a movie more when I love the songs and the soundtrack. So that was just some random thoughts, and I'm sorry I didn't have too many examples of great movies with soundtracks. I'm sure I could think of quite a few if I would have like thought of them before, but ones that really sprung to mind were Perks of Being a Wallflower and Gatsby, because they are recent ones that I've loved straight away, with the soundtrack being a big part of that. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below if you think the soundtrack is a big part of the movie, or if maybe you don't really notice the soundtrack, or you could be the opposite, or you could be in the same boat, or who knows. And if you do really like soundtracks in movies, what is your favourite movie that has a great soundtrack in your opinion? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on your movies, and hopefully maybe I'll get a good movie suggestion of a new film I might not have seen. Until then guys, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, or if you are a newbie. Until then, I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the discussions. Goodbye! Oh, squeaky floorbird.